Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I'm a 22-year-old competitive bowler from Canada, currently living near Toronto. Welcome back to the COMPCLIMB training series, where I'll record most of my training, provide in-depth analysis of every session, and just chat about climbing with an emphasis on competition. So today we are having our boulder session in the morning, and what I wanted to do for this boulder session was to not make the same mistake as I did with the last session of bouldering, which was to climb super steep and powerful boulders and boulders that were really intense on the grip strength. I want to avoid that as much as possible while we're in this training phase for the boulder sessions, because we're already sort of getting a lot of that training with everything else we're doing, with our spray roll sessions, our campus sessions, our intense hangboard workouts. We're already sort of tackling our grip strength quite a lot. And so I want to, during the boulder sessions, I want to try and climb more technical style boulders, vert boulders, slab boulders. So we decided to go to Boulderz in Etobicoke today for the session, just because they have more vert angles and more slab angles. And so what we're doing today is, you'll notice here, you saw a couple X's pop up on the screen there. We're just gonna go around doing some eliminates. We're gonna make up some boulders as well. Cause yeah, we're here at Boulderz in Etobicoke, and I haven't been to this gym to train in a while, so I wasn't really knowing what to expect with the boulders. Like I knew that they are always high quality when I come here, but the difficulty was something that I wasn't quite sure about, and that's why I sort of have been sticking to gyms that I can rely on for hard boulders. At least that's sort of what I default to when we've been in the area. So we've been going to Joe Rockheads, Up the Block, like these gyms a lot, because I know that they always have hard boulders. But I said, hey, let's give Boulderz a try today. So, and at the very least, if they don't have hard boulders up, it's just very easy to, take a V8 like we're doing here, for example, and just take off a hold or two, and then all of a sudden we're going to have a boulder to try. And I knew that Boulderz was going to have a lot of techy, just boulders that weren't too grip strength intensive. Like this boulder here that we're trying right now, this is probably the most powerful boulder we got on for today. Actually, no, the next one is maybe a bit more. But you'll notice my hands aren't working too hard. We're grabbing some nice comfy slopes, some nice comfy volumes, and I'm not really tiring out my grip too much. So yeah, we went to Boulderz today. And it turned out that they didn't actually have a whole lot of hard boulders up. There were definitely a few boulders in the V9 range, but nothing too hard. So we mainly spent the session doing a couple eliminations, and then I make up a really cool slab later in the session as well. But we start with this pretty cool V8. It had a fun sequence. Just taking off these couple holds there in the middle made for a really hard compression sequence. That was a lot of fun. And so I was already I was really happy with what I did during the session, or happy with my decision to come to this gym, because I could feel like I was definitely a bit tired, but my hands didn't have to work too hard in the session, and I achieved exactly what I wanted to, which was nice. So now we're moving on to this boulder here, which was probably the most intense on the grip. The other boulders we'll try are a little bit less so. But this boulder is cool, so we're taking off the left hand up near the left, the big side pull, and then there's just a little crimp here at the beginning that we're also taking off. And so this boulder was, this one I knew was going to be a bit optimistic if it was actually going to be possible by taking off these holds. So the idea is, when we're in this position here, I was thinking, okay, maybe I can get a heel hook, do this cool sequence where I heel hook this hold first, and then go into an undercling and stand up from there. And notice on this try, I realized that I could actually maybe do this move with a heel toe cam, and that would kind of be pretty sick. It's a very cool sequence to take all the weight off and then just go nice and slow into this undercling. But obviously that looks terrifying, and as soon as I was in this position, I was thinking, if I just slip somehow and my heel toe cam is staying in this position, I'm going to lose my foot. So I decided to do this method where I place my heel a little bit more on the slopey side, but it's just a bit safer. I don't want to lose my foot in this heel toe cam. So I was trying to do this boulder where we are here, we kind of place our heel here and smack up into this super powerful undercling move. And it was really, really hard. As soon as I stuck this move here for the first time, I realized that I'm kind of stuck in this position. And it really didn't feel like it was possible to stand out of this position, mainly because my left foot is kind of floating in the air. There's not a sidewall to sort of press on and smear and inch your way up into this undercling like you want to do with this kind of move. And so this is actually going to lead me into the tip of the day for today's episode, and something I was kind of emphasizing on this boulder a bit. And I find that I have to do this a lot of times when I'm doing sessions where I'm making up a lot of boulders, especially because when we're making up boulders on our own, or even just doing eliminations, we don't necessarily know if the boulder is possible. It hasn't been forerun. It's kind of up to us. Also, I'll quickly pause and say, so this boulder here is a boulder that I just made up from scratch. This is obviously not an elimination. So we're starting over here on the left with these black holds, and then we're gonna make our way over to the right. And this boulder is actually quite cool. I definitely wanted to make up some slabs because we haven't been featuring a lot of slab training recently. Like we've just obviously been doing a lot of strength training, but I still like to hop on slab like a little bit while I'm in one of these training phases. So I definitely wanted to emphasize getting on it today. And this boulder actually turned out to be really cool. But yeah, when we're making boulders or trying eliminates, obviously we don't know if a boulder is possible. It's sort of up to us to gauge a difficulty for even especially if it's just for ourselves. Like if we're not making a boulder for somebody else, it's just all about us. And are we going to be getting value from this boulder in training? And so basically my tip of the day is that a boulder doesn't actually even need to be possible for you to get value from it for your training. And this is something that Maddie actually sort of drilled into me a little bit. Like this is something that I would do myself, but I feel like I often got too frustrated and would just simply give up on a boulder if I thought it was impossible and just move on to something else, or tweak the boulder and make it like way easier. And so yes, I still do tweak boulders. Like let's say a boulder that I make up is just too hard. I'll definitely add a hold or change it very slightly if I want to make it a bit more possible. But what I always try to do is keep the integrity of the boulder. So if we're, like, let's say that blue boulder, for example, that we were trying to the previous one with the undercling, if I was to add in that left-hand side pull, for the end sequence, all of a sudden, yeah, I'm making the boulder possible, but it's definitely the integrity of the boulder is being lost, right? It's no longer this powerful stand-up undercling move. All of a sudden, we just have a side pull and it's a compression move and it's a very different move. So when this happens, I may as well just go try a different boulder or something, if I'm just going to simply make a boulder too easy so that it will go. So again, like this tip of the day is you don't actually need boulders to be possible to gain value from them, or you don't even need to send them. What you want to do is just try your absolute hardest and close the gap between something being impossible and possible, even if it's just like small percentages we're talking about. So I gave a couple more tries to that undercling move, even though I kind of, on my first try, I knew this is not going to go. This is just a bit too bunched and the position just isn't right for this. I knew it was impossible for me, at least, like I wasn't going to be able to do it. But what I said is I'm going to give it a couple more tries just to try my absolute hardest, see if I can inch my way up 1% higher into this undercling and just even smack my hand on the top of this hold and hold it for as long as I can. Just giving these try-hard attempts is valuable in training. And closing the gap between the possible and the impossible factor of a move or a boulder is worth it for training. And it's always a fine line, I find. Sometimes, yes, you do want to tweak a boulder, make it a bit softer. Maybe you'll get more value out of it from your training. But if we're talking about tweaking a boulder to the point where you're losing the integrity of the move you're going for, on that boulder, I was really trying to I was trying to do a move where I had to do a really powerful undercling move and then kind of try to stand out of it. There was no holds or any little foots that I could add to keep the integrity of that move while making the boulder softer. So what I said is, okay, let me keep the integrity of the move and just try my absolute hardest to close the gap between impossible and possible. And that's something I try to do while I'm training, especially when I'm making up my own boulders or doing eliminations. So tip of the day, close the gap, just try hard. You don't actually need to get this in to get value. And so here we are sort of wrapping up this session at Boulderz. That last slab, as you could see, had the pretty cool jump move in the middle. That I was happy with how that slab turned out. And then here I am just sort of messing around at the end. I had, a few minutes left in the session, and I just wanted to, like I said, kind of get my body still working a little bit on the slab. So this isn't really a boulder I made up. This is just kind of a little one move wonder that I was trying. I came up with this little coordination move to see if it was possible. I think it was possible. I tried it a few times, but it was really hard to just get the left foot to land, and then it was really hard to get the left foot to land on the foothold and have the right hand land in a good spot on this volume so that it wouldn't just slip down. But yeah, this move is like maybe a bit contrived. I don't know if this could be, because this definitely isn't force. I think there's something probably else that I could do, but I was definitely just trying to force this sort of contrived movement for fun, just to mess around for a little bit at the end of the session, and then not tire myself out too much for the workout. That was also what I've realized what happened with the Climbers Rock session that we did last time is climbing on all those grip strength intensive boulders really, really tired me out for the workout. And right now, the training phase that we're in, the workout is almost more important in the boulder sessions, which is something that I don't usually say. Usually bouldering is always a priority for me, but during the strength building phase, I actually don't want the bouldering to take away from the workout, which is kind of funny because it's usually the other way around. So after our session of bouldering in the morning, it was off to Climbers Rock for our workout. And what I set out to achieve today, which was to have a sort of chill boulder session, at least chill on the hands and grip strength, so that I wouldn't tire myself out for the workout, that I achieved this. I had a bit better feeling hangboard. My fingers definitely felt less fatigued, and I felt like I had a bit more energy, so I decided to do a weight jump. Our first two workouts, we were doing our 80-pound hangs, and so today we're doing our hangs with 90 pounds. And that's just because I had a bit more freshness, a bit more energy, and I felt like I could do my hangs today at 90 pounds without really hurting myself. And usually when we're in this sort of training phase, I'll do a weight jump every session, at least by 5 pounds. And you'll notice on the session 2, I did not do a weight jump. I just stayed at 80 pounds because I tired myself out way too much from the Climbers Rock session. So we were able to do a weight jump today, thankfully. And then here you can see, you can check out my thumb. So you are not seeing any clips of me doing pinch block today. And that is because this little injury, this little micro split on the thumb, it's still here, is one of my ultimate pet peeves and one of my ultimate training kryptonites. If you get a little split on your thumb like this, it is so impossible to train pinch block. I actually had to skip it today because I cut myself at the end of the last pinch block session on my last set. I did like a really hard try hard set and then I cut myself. And I find that I can't actually tape this part of the thumb because the way that my thumb rests on the pinch block, it slides and there's no friction with the pinch, and it's actually impossible to even do like a 70% of whatever my normal pinch block hold is because the tape is so intrusive. So when I have a split like this, I actually can't do pinch block. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I gotta maybe, I don't know, super glue some, like a little bit of tape to it or something, but I just skipped pinch block today, and basically I said like, I'll figure something else out before the next pinch block session happens. So I actually had to skip pinch block today, which was quite annoying, but my hangs were a bit better, which was kind of nice. And so for this workout, I have something that I'll mention that I also haven't mentioned yet, which is, I guess I should probably mention why I do a lot of these exercises, or why I do one exercise over something else. I don't think I've quite talked about this yet. So you'll notice maybe a bit of a trend throughout all my exercises that we do during our workout is that I usually opt for like single limb exercises. So rather than doing 2-arm weighted pull-ups, I like to do 1-arm pull-ups. Rather than doing squats with like a bar, I like to do pistol squats. And even with military press, instead of having like, a bar, a regular bar like that we use to deadlift and doing it all at once, I do 2 dumbbells in each hand. And that's also just because, well, here, first, like I'll get at what I'm getting at with these sort of single limb exercises and why I prefer to do these rather than 2 is doesn't actually have anything to do with strength necessarily. It's not like I'm trying to say that scientifically this is the best way to gain strength. My personal preference and sort of my philosophy when it comes to doing these single limb exercises in relation to climbing is that it builds good movement patterns. And I think that the movement skills that you develop by doing these single limb exercises are very applicable to climbing, because it's very rare that you'll be in a climbing situation where, you're doing sort of a equally symmetric pull-up with both arms, or for a squat, for example. And in fact, on slab, oftentimes you are just simply doing a pistol squat. And by training pistol squats like this, not only are you training the strength required to do a pistol squat, but you're training the muscle memory and the neurological pathways in your mind to execute a pistol squat comfortably. And so one of my biggest gains that I've been noticing with my slab climbing recently is like, not only do I feel like I have the strength to do a pistol squat in a lot of situations where I haven't been able to in the past, because pistol squats used to be a big weakness of mine, but I also just feel like, oh, okay, like it's not even strength anymore. I've repped out so many of these pistol squats recently that it's just muscle memory, and it's just something that you can almost like your brain can do for you, like subconsciously. It's like, oh, okay, I just bust out my pistol squat that I do, every 3 days when I do my workout. Same sort of thing with one arm pull-ups rather than 2-arm pull-ups. Like when you're with comp style bouldering these days, a lot of time you're dynoing to like a position where you got to hold something in a locked off position, and there's like, you're just sort of loading one arm and you have to pull through a 1-arm position, and just training the movement patterns by doing 1-arms can be really strong, just like I said, mentally, movement wise. And I'm not even saying that, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily better for strength. I think either way, it could go either way for strength. I think it's just personal preference, but I think that the movement patterns are like really solid with the single limb training. And so that's why I definitely recommend this. It's definitely personal preference. Like Maddie prefers she does double-handed weighted pull-ups, and that's what her coach gives her, and she like swears by that. But my preference is the single limb exercises. I really like it. And then even for military press here, I like to do the barbells in each hand separately, because it also helps you notice a bit of the differences between each side in terms of strength. And you'll notice that I do my hangs two hands. So you'll say, okay, well, why don't you do one arm crimp hangs? Why do we do two-hand crimp hangs? And I would love to do one arm crimp hangs, but the reason that I don't actually is simply because I find I have to hang on a slightly bigger edge because my fingers aren't so strong. I can't hang on like the little Beastmaker edge like I do with my two-hand crimp hangs. And so when I hang on a bigger edge, it puts a whole lot of strain and weight through my pinky, and it just causes flappers so easily. I think I've talked a bit about this in the past, but when I just do one arm hangs on like the like two rungs up from the small Beastmaker edge, it just flaps up so easily. I kind of have like bad skin in terms of my pads. Like I get flappers really easily because it's like thick and dry. And so I would love to do one arm crimp hangs because of the same philosophy. I feel like it trains some good movement patterns in your mind. But the flappers, I just can't. So I sort of have to stick to my two arm hangs. But I would love to train one arm hangs for this reason. But yeah, anyway, that was pretty fun to talk about, I think. Sort of my philosophy behind the single limb exercises that I like to do. And so, yeah, that's just a bit of context, bit of reasons why. And like I said, just personal preference. I don't think this is the better way to do it, but this is just my logic. So that wrapped up our day of training. Tomorrow is rest day. I'm starting to feel my body adjust a little bit to the training volume. Like for example, this workout, I definitely didn't feel quite as gassed as I did for the past two, and the Boulder session was a bit better as well. So yeah, hopefully you'll hear me complaining and whining less going forward. But yeah, tomorrow is a rest day, and then the next day, I think I'm gonna do a kilter board session. So obviously we have sort of kilter / moonboard is our session for our day one. And so I'm going to choose to do a kilter board next session. I don't think Ben's going to join me, so it'll just be me. But you can look forward to that. Insert catchy video outro here.